Hi Scorpio, this is wishkotheferret. Thanks for hopping into one of my hidey holes here. We have a reading for you for June 5th, June 11th. As always here, we're keeping it warm, we're keeping it cozy. I might actually have to turn on the AC at some point because it's getting a little too warm in here, and I have my babies over here, my little ferret friends over here, and I have, I'm with family at the moment, so if you hear anybody in the background, you can just do your best to tune them out. But drop into your heart space. Let the dust spiritually, physically, and emotionally settle around and within you so that you can determine which messages are for you and which messages are for others. I'm going to step into my own space, take a little bit of time to get situated here. So thank you, Archangel Michael, for protecting my space, for my energy to these four walls. And thank you for protecting our audience here who seeks clarification from their intuition. Thank you. Wow. Okay. So this card jumped out like twice. So I'm just going to take it. You all saw that, right? It wasn't just me. So I'm just going to leave it. But thank you, angel guides. Thank you, spirit team, for helping me connect with the energy of Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising. Thank you for helping me channel something that is uplifting and empowering, things that they need to know for this next cycle. I'm hearing something about the moon. So if some of you work with the moon, this moon phase could be very important for you. So interestingly enough, by the time this video posts, we would have just had the full moon in Sagittarius. So if you were somebody who is heavily affected by those energies, then this reading kind of plays off of that full moon energy. And of course, whenever you happen to be coming across this reading, this message could be for you. You don't have to be coming here for, the time period between June 5th and June 11th. If you feel intuitively called to this, perhaps the most recent moon in your time frame has really been like either messing with you or presented its own challenges to you. So we're just going to dive right in wherever you're at. Your focal point for this week is flow. Allow me, divine, to move with the flow and respond with calmness and peace. So, I kind of love this card and I kind of hate this card, and I'm going to tell you why. I love dolphins because they present playfulness, fun, lightheartedness, but at the same time, it's also, dolphins represent duality. So understanding that it's usually not this or that is true, because things are not black and white. It is usually this and that are true. So with pain, there also presents joy. With suffering, there also presents gratitude or something like that. Was that opposites? With suffering, with gratitude. Yeah. I mean, like there's just all of these these oppositional forces that have to be present in our lives because life is full of such duality. So even if we go, like, for example, if we're pursuing our passions or our dreams, a common misconception is that when we pursue our dreams, everything's going to be grand. If we're always following our heart, then things are going to work out in our favor, that we'll never have to struggle. But it's apparent that life will always present challenges no matter which path we take. That is just reality. That is just life. Us Scorpios, we know that. I don't know why I said us, because I am not a Scorpio. I know of Scorpios who know this truth very well, and I can't help but feel like basically a lot of Scorpios who have strong Scorpio in their chart, whether you're sun, moon, or rising, you know this very well. A lot of us population know this very well. But specifically, I feel like people who handle Scorpio energy strongly deal with the dark side and then live to tell the tale and come back to share with other people. So I don't know why I'm getting like semi-chills from that, but we'll continue because you have tarot cards here we got to get into. You have the Two of Swords and you have the Four of Cups. You can afford to be choosy. That's so interesting. So like the Two of Cups presents needing to make a choice. You could have actually more than one option, especially with the Four of Cups present. So this could be something that you are, I don't know, I just heard like you're making amends or something like that, or you're trying to make something work, but it might not be the thing that you are trying to manifest. But it's almost like you're being too picky, but not too picky. How do I want to say this? You're being picky, but you're picky for a reason. And that's okay. Spirit's not judging you in any way. Sometimes you just, depending on your placement in life, you have to just deal with the options that you have. But it's okay to say no and wait for another opportunity. Just make sure you're not waiting forever, because the Two of Swords does caution against stagnation, and the Four of Cups, sometimes in its challenging form can be just sitting too long on options and saying no to everything. So making sure that you're making a choice that it's not going to be in full alignment with you. So Spirit's like, you don't have to wait forever for the one thing that feels perfect, because there are going to be challenges presented with any path that you choose. So harnessing the duality of all situations, really take the time to consider, like, okay, like, try not to pick the one with the least amount of cons, because you're still going to encounter challenges. And I think a lot of people try to choose the path that fills them up the most, and sometimes people also want to choose the easier path because they feel that life has been challenging enough. And while I do understand that sentiment so hard right now, I understand that sentiment, Scorpio, but Spirit is saying with your message here that it's more important now to make a choice and to continue living your life. Living your life and experiencing life takes precedence over living, I wouldn't say living an easy life, but follow where your heart is calling you to go, even if it sounds like a challenge at first. Because first of all, challenges that are presented right up front might be easier than you think. I mean, like, you have the resources to tackle some of these challenges. So wherever your heart is calling you to go, just follow, because your heart, and I actually, like, I will say that your heart could be pulling you into many different directions, but you have to narrow it down somehow. That's okay too. Spirit's like, it's okay to just pick one. And interestingly enough, I think Cancer also got something similar, or maybe it was one of your fellow air signs, but somebody had got another message this week about just needing to make a choice, needing to choose something to move forward on. There will always be more opportunities down the road. But I can't fully, Spirit's almost like, you can't fully encapsulate, they're saying, like, you can't fully understand, or you can't fully conceptualize what you are stepping into until you actually live to experience it. But if you're constantly sitting in a space where you still need to make a choice, you're never going to be able to experience anything because you're not actively moving towards it. So that's just some food for thought here. Like, be choosy, be picky, but don't be so picky that you are dragging your feet or standing completely still, because I'm getting an image of somebody standing completely still, kind of like an analysis paralysis of, like, okay, well, I don't know what to do because there are so many different things being presented to me right now. And Spirit's like, it's okay. Just trust what is coming up from within, because you have Strength and Hermit here, and these cards are meant to correspond with one another. So let's line them up and figure it out. Strength is calling on your inner power. So funny, because Cancer also had the inner power card. They had an inner power card as their focus point. So if you have Cancer in your chart, I recommend you go watch that reading too. Like strong Cancer placements, if you feel called, that is. But Strength is calling up your inner power. This is quite literally, oh wow, I just heard something about showcasing your wisdom. So you can actually be bringing this up to share with others. You could be called towards paths. I don't know why I'm getting the sense that for some of you this is like a purpose. I'm hearing something about childhood. Some of you could be presenting childhood traumas in an effort to help bring your wisdom to the collective in some way through whatever art form or expression that you're aiming to do this with. Some of you could even be just sharing with the folks around you, and that's okay too. But you're calling up some type of inner strength, something that you've had to learn. And the Hermit actually shows, and a lot of people, like, it depends. So, like, a lot of people interpret the Hermit as coming within and doing introspection, and oftentimes I do read the Hermit card that way. But when it's paired with something like this, needing to move forward and make a decision, and just the energy of the Hermit shares information too. He goes within so he can come out at the end and shine his light on others, and that's exactly what he's doing here. He's taking the strength that he has learned, and he is taking his light that he has worked so hard to cultivate on shining brightly in his lantern, because he pulls from his inner strength, he pulls from all of the wisdom of his past lifetimes, he pulls from the wisdom of this current lifetime especially, and then he channels divine sources wisdom as well, and then he helps channel that to other people. But he shines his light. There's a reason the Hermit card, like, there's a reason why the Hermit is what he is. He's not just wise for himself, he is wise for others, and that's what I feel like you're stepping up for. Now, the challenge here, interesting, so the focal point is flow to focus on, and the tarot card Ten of Wands is coming up as what's coming up from the root. What's coming up from the root is the Ten of Wands, which is, maybe you actually feel, and I always, here's the duality of this card, the chills. And I always talk about how I love and I hate this card. It's the same thing with flow. It's so interesting because I said it with this one, and you also have the Ten of Wands, which I also say that I love and I hate it, because Spirit is asking me to present, I'm getting the chills. Ooh, Spirit is asking me to present the duality of the Ten of Wands. If it is rising up from within you, if it is rising up from within your subconscious, this is coming up from your roots. So the thing that you are feeling right now is the Ten of Wands. You might feel that there is whatever direction you're being called in is going to require a lot of hard work, but it's almost like you want to do the hard work. Or like you feel inspired to do all of the hard work because you want to flow with that, because you have so much inspiration, you have so many ideas, and you want to enact them all. So Spirit, like there's this duality though. So with the hardcore pushing, with the hustle and wanting to do a lot, to achieve a lot, to work a lot, there comes the balance of needing rest, which oftentimes when we feel so inspired, we charge ahead and we don't pay too much attention to our bodies, and then we burn out. So I would caution and try to reel that Ten of Wands balance in, but balance is not something that should always be achieved. I do feel like it's important to follow the flow of life. Sometimes a reading does call for, like, the energy does require more balance because we're just pushing too hard, but it's like we're pushing too hard for too long. I think it is a very normal human endeavor and a very normal human way of life to want to work super hard for a period of time in our lives and then go into a hardcore rest period for a few, for however long we want to. So I think that, from whatever's coming up from within, don't be afraid of pursuing hustle culture. It's okay to want to hustle. It's okay to want to do a lot. But also just, it's okay to relax. It's okay to relax. Don't feel the need that you have to have this balance all the time. There is a duality that comes with that. Spirit's just asking you to be aware of the duality that is coming with all of this hard work, that yes, you will probably burn out. You burning out, or you all of a sudden losing motivation for everything that you've worked so hard to cultivate, that is burnout. Burnout is Spirit's telling me burnout is a sensitive subject for this group, and I understand that, but Spirit is almost like saying, like, when you burn out, or when this inevitably does happen, like, if you're having trouble maintaining that balance, you will experience the negative side effects of, like, putting our energy and constantly putting our energy out there without replenishment. And, things, it's a trial and error sometimes. Things need to be moved around. Maybe you are aspiring to work a lot, and pursue a lot, but also take within and try to replenish a little bit so that you can keep your stamina up. But you also want to make sure that you're experiencing joy, and it's very hard. So Spirit is saying, don't take that as a reflection of you, because I just heard Spirit say, poor you. So try not to reflect and, think about how awful your life is, or what a terrible job you're doing, because it's not true. That is just a very human thing to push until we can't push anymore. That is not you quote unquote falling apart, or losing the forward momentum that you had just because you're getting tired. That's not a reflection on you as a person. That's not a reflection on you as your character. And no human has the kind of stamina that you are desiring. And I think we have very high expectations of ourselves when it comes to wanting to do a lot of things and wanting to experience life. And I love that there's a zest for life in this reading, but there's also a desire here to live a life that is aligned with what we want. And that, again, is super hard, because as we have kind of this inner remembrance of what we were like when we were souls, in which we experienced unconditional love, unconditional peace for extremely, for an endless amount of time, where time isn't even a concept on the other side. So to come here in this, I would say, I don't want to say a limited existence, but when we're coming here with physical limitations, we're coming here with challenges, when we're here trying to accomplish earth lessons, we often lose track of that, because, I would say our ego gets in the way, but I don't really want to call it ego. I want to call it being human. Just being human, and the human things that come with it. We want to enact our spiritual things, and we want to get into that space where we feel like we are in spirit again, but it's hard, to reach that perfect alignment. They say that when we cross over to the other side, and we're on the other side with all of our loved ones, and we're at one again, and we're connected again, that's the inner peace that everybody, because we remember that, and we want to achieve that and align. But we are also here to learn. We are also here to handle dualities and experience joy and experience other things that we're not able to experience when we are in consciousness form. So, I would say that I'm not going to say it's impossible to get everything that you want. You can manifest anything, you can co-create anything. I'm just saying that there is a duality of being human that you will have to accept regardless of which path you choose that is in alignment. I know I said that many times, but perhaps that's another way that I'm like trying to say it, just to explain why you, like, this is just a potentiality. I'm not telling you how to feel, but this could help shed some light on why we feel we must live a perfectly aligned life. It's because our soul remembers that from before we came here, and some of us, especially our spiritual folks, long to achieve that long term, but it's hard. And I mean, it's not something like you can live an aligned life, but it's really just getting into the headspace of gratitude and appreciating. You can still appreciate what you have and move towards your goals at the same time, just letting you know. Okay, so it invokes an energy of wonder. It really does when you think about things like this. Just know that you will eventually pass over and you will experience that joy, that oneness, and be with everybody you've ever known and loved in all past lives and in the current life. But enjoy the present for what you have. Enjoy this world for what you have, and really just focus on turning like a positive mindset to the things around you. You can still work to achieve things, but try not to aim for like a perfectly aligned life because you probably won't achieve that feeling that you are remembering, because again, we are in a limited human existence. Okay, so we'll see what else we got. Quite literally, I think I said this earlier in like the flow part of this reading, but flexible. Needing to be flexible and work around at this time. So you might not achieve everything that you want, or you might not get to everything you want like this week, and that's okay. Just be flexible and work with the universe, because the universe has its own flow too. Like, honey, it's not just about you, and I hate to say it. I mean, like, sometimes I have to be reminded of this too. Like, I think that everything in life is happening like for me, yes, not to me, but at the same time, there's always that conceptualization that, oh, things are happening for me. It's not just for me. Like, my sister down the hall also has her path, and our lives are intersecting. So obviously, like, the universe has to make room for her to live her lessons. Same thing for like the people that you intermingle with on a daily basis, that person you walk past on the street. Everybody has their own story, and the universe is trying to work with our limited existence and try to weave everybody together. It is very magical when we start to see those things come together. That's how we notice synchronicities, how like outside events line up with our life, and we're like, oh, magic, like triple numbers, or when we're seeing like certain things just reach us in succession. If you're seeing the same penny everywhere in the same year, or if you're seeing like feathers, or if you're like whatever you connect with in terms of signs, or you're thinking something and then all of a sudden you're thinking of a song, it starts playing on the radio, like those types of synchronicities. It's all being lined up so we can experience that magic and be reassured, and I just heard Spirit say to let you know that we're there, that we're here guiding you. But it's just so fun and fascinating to see all of that. So just know that, like, there are other beings that are also trying to grow as well. Okay, so allowing yourself to be flexible and to move with life's flow actually allows things to come to you, allows things to come to you in their own time, and allows things to come to others for their time as well. And that's also another interesting card to get, and fits perfectly with what we're talking about. You have the Fates. This card is about self-acceptance, utter, complete, and total self-acceptance, and understanding that there's only so much you can do in a situation. There's only so much that you can understand and know in the here and now. And again, like I told you all before, you sometimes have to make a decision in order to just experience it, and that's okay. And this also, the Fates card is about not focusing on things that you can't control, or there's like a radical acceptance that comes with this card. Radical acceptance of yourself, and radical acceptance of the things that are out of your control, and actually recognizing when things are out of your control so that you can release it and step back from it and just let it play out. So again, this is like, I feel like this is playing off of the message of everybody else is on their own journey. Everybody else is kind of going through their own lessons that sometimes intersect with yours, and sometimes it's not a personal attack. Sometimes it's not about you. It's just sometimes other people working through their own cycles and their own things that they have to deal with. Okay? And it's also just like, making sure that you're putting up boundaries so that you can allow yourself to not be affected by things that are out of your control. Even if they're setting boundaries with ourselves, like I'm only going to turn my attention to this thing in life that's bothering me for 5 minutes and then I'm going to move on. That is a very strict boundary to have, but it's also a very helpful boundary. We don't have to have boundaries with other people. We have boundaries with ourselves all the time. It's like, oh, I'm only going to have this limited, like, or like, how do I want to say this? Or like, oh, I have to be in bed by this time. That is a boundary. That's a boundary. And, you know, sometimes we move that boundary as we see fit. If we have special events, we might do that. Or some of us have a super strict boundary around bedtime. Some of us might have a strict routine, a strict boundary in terms of waking up. So something that, like, you know, staying up late or waking up too early or waking up too late makes you feel uncomfortable. Sometimes we set a time of like, this is when I would like to get up. So, you know, I mean, just acknowledging and trying to focus on the things that you can control will help you achieve like a better flow state at this time, because then you can kind of flow around obstacles rather than pushing through them or pushing against them, if that makes sense. You have play. Oh, I love this because I just said that the dolphin loves to play. So among the grass and wild violets lie undisturbed little secrets to uncover. What I love about play is that it's telling you that it's important in life to embrace the fun, embrace the play of it all, because you are here, well, yes, you're here to learn. Make sure that when you are working hard or when you are when you're not trying to put as much pressure on yourself, you want to achieve, you want to be inspired to do all these things, make sure you're having fun, make sure you're playing. I always hear, Chloe Taylor also says this too, like work and rest. Let's see, there's work, rest, and also play. Play and rest are not the same thing. A lot of people think they are, but you need to rest and recover the body. You need to rest and recover the mind. Like your resting might be going out for a walk or doing some yoga. Your rest might also be just, you know, hanging out. And, you know, just staring at the wall for like, if you like rest, replenishing the body, it could be sleep. Play can be categorized as something that lights up your soul, that gets you excited, that makes you feel like a little kid again. And in making sure that you embrace that play, embracing that play, of like, and just embracing that fun, because that's how the divine reaches you the loudest. That's, at least for me, because I work with angels. I work with a lot of angels who work through love. And oftentimes, like, spirit guides do that too. But when you get into, like, the nuances of, like, the different spirit communications and the different entities, I guess, on the other side or whatever, I guess angels is, like, a different vibration, and spirit guides, it's its own vibration. I find that oftentimes my guides are like, now, do you really need me right now? Like, they'll communicate through oracle and tarot, but, like, when I try to communicate with them and actually meet them face to face, I always hear someone say, but you don't really need help right now. And I'm just like, I guess not, because I am very decisive for myself. Or more like, I also have my passion, like I want to be decisive for myself, but I also just find that because I'm actively enacting, you know, service to the world, and I am like just wanting to enjoy and love and be free, like I operate from the mentality of love, so I connect a lot better with angels, and I find that I can actually have more open communication with them, and that I work more easily with them, because that's just how I'm living. But anyway, if you want to communicate with angels, or if you want to work with that, if you find that it resonates with you, play is an amazing way to do that. Also, just being lighthearted in general does help you connect with your guides and the higher powers that be more. Just because you're in a lighthearted state, you're in a state of receiving, playing kind of falls into like the imaginative fun state, which and like intuition and imagination are so closely connected like you would not believe. So a lot of artists actually channel without realizing that they're channeling, like when they're creating. So playing gets you in that state of being able to receive when the time comes. You also have transform, rise above any situation and become the best version of you. And I know some Scorpios, they're sick and tired of hearing that they have to transform. Y'all are like the kings, queens, and royalties of transforming and, you know, coming out of tough situations. But I don't know, I feel like you got it. I feel like this shouldn't be news to you, and I, for whatever reason, I'm hearing like no nonsense attitude. I'm not sure what that means, but perhaps like because of your past experiences, you've developed a no nonsense attitude towards certain things in your life, and that is where you've increased like reinforcement on your boundaries, and you have made it clear, you put your foot down and you made it clear that certain things will not affect you anymore, and you're allowing yourself to transform from those experiences and be, again, as the card said, like the best version of you. So I mean, okay, go Scorpio, rock on. So you have 5, 4, 2 on your angel dice. So I'm going to be pulling from Angel Numbers by Kyle Gray, as always. You are being guided to be open and honest about what you need for your relationships to feel harmonious and safe. Speak up. We just talked about boundaries. Okay, I always read these messages twice, so I'm going to say it one more time. You are being guided to be open and honest about what you need for your relationships to feel harmonious and safe. Speak up. That being said, Scorpio, that was your reading. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for allowing me to channel for you, to your angel guides and spirit team, my angel guides and spirit team. Really appreciate it. So if you like this video, if you like my style, if you like my vibe, if you think I'm cool, go ahead, like and subscribe and all the things. That way you don't miss content from me, and also you get to keep up to date with all of the things, and it helps the channel grow. So I love you, I love you, I love you. I hope you have the best week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.